Okay, okay. Heather, good morning. Here comes Ashley. Um,
Good morning. I'm going to mute myself because my kids are here and it's crazy, but I am listening.
no problem, no problem. Okay, guys, as many of us know, today is basically day one of family reunion. My hope is everyone enrolled?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did anyone have
Yes.
any trouble logging into the site?
No.
No.
All right. Things are going well. Things are going good. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. I want to give you just a kind of some overview of family reunion in general. Okay, so normally there is 18 to 20,000 people in a convention center that's got a bunch of different stages and breakout rooms and vendor spaces and all these kind of things, and it's super hectic. And there's people all around, many of which you don't know who they are outside of their name tag, and it's really overwhelming. Okay, so I want you to kind of vision this kwrf2021.com as kind of like that convention center. So there is not going to be enough time this week for you to do every single thing you want to do. Okay, it's just not going to happen. Okay, there's too many vendors to see, there's too many breakouts to go to, there's too many networking events and workshops and all that kind of stuff. The good news though is that the platform is going to be open. We haven't officially said this, but in the past when they've done things like this, it's been open for 60 days after the event is over. Okay, so everything is being videoed, much of which has already been done, much of which has already been filmed. And it will live in the video library section on the left-hand side of your front page. Okay, so let me just share my screen with you. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. By the way, everyone, this is Kathy. She's brand new to the office and brand new to Keller Williams and brand new to productivity coaching. So let's all give her a nice wave and welcome.
Morning.
Okay. John, this is Kathy. And Ebony, this is Kathy. She's new to the group. So say hello.
Good morning.
All right.
Morning.
Everyone's trickling in. Okay. So right here, it says video library. Okay. It's just the front page. And what this is a bunch of like stretches and whatnot right the second. But generally a day, roughly a day, sometimes about a day and a half or so after the event or after the events, the recording will live right here. So for example, everything that happens today will probably be here videoed and waiting for you to watch it as many times as you want, most likely by either end of the day tomorrow or beginning of the day on Thursday would be my guess. And then it will be there forever and ever, or for 60 days, I should say. Okay, so there are going to be events that you miss. It's okay, you can watch them at a time that makes sense for you in the future. Okay, here's the deal. There's some workshops that I've not seen them do this before, where there was like a RSVP list or something like that. You had to reserve your spot. I don't even see that on my thing anymore. And I tried to sort by workshops and nothing came up. So I'm just going to assume that if you didn't already get an RSVP confirmation that you're invited to a workshop, just forget all about it. Okay, if it is something that's videoed, which I suspect it will be, it'll be here. Let's focus on the things we can attend, and that there's plenty of things that we can take a look at. So let me give you a couple of heads up, okay? First of all, there's a couple little fun activities. There's a FAQ. You can go shopping, okay? You can go shopping for a bunch of stuff on KW Red Label, apparel, journals, books, training resources, all these kind of things, okay? Oops, opened up in a different window. Okay, you can donate to Keller Williams Cares. There's a leaderboard for a bunch of different things like downloading and attending sessions and uploading a photo and all that kind of stuff. The video library, which is where we're at. The attendees, you can search by attendees. So for example, if you wanted to search for team leaders in a particular part of town, or rainmakers in a particular part of town or part of the country or world even, you could use this space right here. Okay, there's chat rooms, there's social feeds, there's the exhibit hall, that's where all the vendors live. Okay, so transaction tools. Here's a bunch of different vendors that have programs that could possibly benefit you. Here's my warning on that. These will not go away tonight. So if you think that you want to buy something, I want you to, it's kind of like the Amazon. I mean, look, I'm not trying to be your parent here, but there's a lot of stuff that's for sale, and most of it you don't need right now. You need leads. That's all that matters right this second. Okay, you don't need a huge $500 a month program to control the leads that you don't have yet. Okay, so if you think you want it, jot it down, come and talk to me if you'd like, and I'll give you my feedback on it, or at least keep it in mind for a day before you whip out your credit card, okay? Because what I don't want you to do is have a bunch of $30 a month programs that you can justify by having one transaction your entire career and you don't use any of them. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay, there's a networking area. So basically when you typed in your profile, it said it used artificial intelligence basically to match you up with similar like-minded people, maybe same interest or same what do you call it, job title or something like that, right? So you can go through this and you can start to like them or chat with them and that kind of thing. Okay, this would be a great resource for potentially finding referral partners across the country. Okay. Full agenda. So Tuesday the 16th, remember all these times are central time, so be careful about that. Okay, all the times are central time, and then they post over here the Eastern time. So does anybody see anything interesting about the schedule today?
Gary Keller's vision speech.
What time is that at, John?
That's at 11 a.m. Eastern.
And does it look like there's much to do before 11?
Not a lot, just chatting and, introductions.
Lead gen.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
lead gen,
brother,
sure.
you're my favorite student.
There you go.
So did you guys find it interesting that with the exception of like KW Worldwide Coffee and access to the exhibit halls, there ain't nothing going on until 11 because we're supposed to lead gen. Okay, so even these massive events does not take precedence over lead generation. Okay, so I don't think it's a very good excuse for at the end of this week for you to say I didn't work because it was family reunion. No, you earned the right to go to family reunion because you work, right? And your family doesn't need you to take off 4 days when you don't have a full pipeline. You work in the morning, building up some new clients, and then you go reward yourself by learning some more. Does that make sense? I kind of feel like a parent a little bit today, but it's really easy to get kind of lost in this thing. And then come Monday of next week, you're like, oh, I didn't make any contacts this week. You see what I'm saying? But your competition did. So just please be aware of that, okay? We've been talking about these couple of days being light on work for a month or two. So I want to make sure that our numbers stay strong and your efforts stay strong before these events, okay? Again, everything will be recorded, okay? So from 11 to 12 is the vision speech. We're doing a breakdown of the vision speech. It's actually going to be live from Roswell. Andy's going to be commenting on that, okay? Then state of the company and a breakdown from that. You can see these tags here, helps you understand who the class is most appropriate for, okay? Solo agents, individual agents, leadership, luxury, commercial, buyer's agents, MREA, that kind of thing. Guys, here's a take on these classes, okay? I want you to have a goal for each class that you attend for you to take one idea and implement into your business immediately. Okay, there will be about 50 ideas that sound interesting and cool. Write them all down, that's fine. But afterwards, I want you to take a couple minutes and kind of debrief yourself from that session and look at all the highlighted things, look at all the notes you took, and say to yourself, hey, what's the most important thing? What's the one thing that I can take from today's session and implement into your business right away? You know, guys know what Aubrey says at the beginning of most of the team meetings? You know, what is it? Going to class without implementing, you know, something is just entertainment. Education without implementation is just entertainment. Okay. We're going to get a little entertained this week, but I really want it to be a constructive event for everyone and a productive event for everyone. Make sense? Okay, so once you click on that, you heart it. Like if I wanted to, let's actually take, you guys recognize anyone on this panel? Carrie Veal?
Hey,
Veal's
Carrie.
doing something. Joanne Curtin's doing something. Andy's doing something. We got a number of Georgia Legacy Group people. Okay, so if I let me just double check that this is true. So if I go to, I'm going to heart KW Worldwide's coffee, and I go to my agenda, and it's there. So everything that I've hearted is in my agenda. So you can go to the full agenda and heart things. So for example, I've got like 2 or 3 events between 2:15 and 3 o'clock Central Time, and that'll help me decide which one I want to go to in the future or at that time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So Bill, I have a question. Good morning, everyone.
Good
So
morning.
if we have 2 sessions that are at the same time, I know they're going to be available, but like I want to get the live version, you know, on a couple of them.
So it's my understanding, Luanda, that the only thing that is live is the responses. You see, like up here, the breakdowns, like the
Mhm.
breakdown of the vision speech, that's going to be live
Right.
in Roswell. Okay. But the vision
Okay.
speech itself and all these breakouts, they've
Mhm.
already been recorded. Nothing's live.
Right. Okay. But we can always go back and actually look at those. Say, for instance, if we have one that's of interest and they're at the same time.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah. That's the
Okay.
whole idea. That's the cool part about having it digital, by the way, because that was never possible before.
Mhm.
That was never possible before. I have not confirmed this, by the way. I have not seen it with my own eyes, but I saw this on a chat yesterday that they did announce where it's going to be for next year. Did you guys see that?
No, where was that?
Where Family Reunion will be next year. It is going to be in Orlando.
Nice.
So
Wow. Do you
let's
think it's
just,
going to be the same platform as far as being
my hunch
online
is
versus
that
in
this
person?
this type of platform will probably not go away. It will probably be, let's assume for a second that a year from now we're able to gather.
Mhm.
You know, I assume part of it will be in person and it'll be accessible via a platform similar to this.
Okay.
This year was supposed to be in Las Vegas. They canceled that, or they moved it to digital a few months ago. But they have apparently booked some space in Orlando at the convention center. So let's go sell an extra house and take our families to Disney or something. Okay. I'll probably be down there a few days early or a few days later, something like that with my kids and my wife. What a cool trip, right? All right, put it in your business plan. Let's go sell an extra house. Okay. What question? Oh, make sure also your profile, you know, be as detailed as you can. Put a bio in there, make yourself public, you know, make yourself available to have, what do you call it, messages sent to you and people can chat with you and that kind of stuff. I need to add my bio. This is a really cool opportunity for you to meet others, okay? What questions do we have? Is everyone going on here, or there is anyone that's not going?
Nope. Definitely going.
Looks like
I'm
everyone's
going.
going.
I'm
Going.
going, but I plan on spending some time later going back and looking at all the workshops that I really want to go to and
Yeah, me
can't
too.
seem to find.
Yeah,
That's the frustrating
quit,
of
Greta,
this.
quit thinking about the things that frustrate you.
I
Just
know.
look at all these classes that are available. Just pick them and start smiling, okay? Seriously. look at all these sessions you can go to. We'll figure out the workshops later.
But you
I
told
didn't
us,
get in and you didn't get in. Don't
you
worry.
didn't say focus on lead gen and focus on command, and there's not one that I can find.
Build a scalable and sustainable admin-only sales business. Just look very closely, okay? Everything is about building your business and building your database, scale your team's operations with big models and systems. That's going to be on lead generation, right? Basically, all of these run lean to succeed with a small sales team. That's going to, and it may not say lead generation in the title, but these are the important classes, okay? The vision speech. I'm only on one day. Lean into coming opportunities for buyers and sellers. There's going to be, this may be a little controversial, what I'm about to say, but there's probably going to be some tech releases, like some new features that are available with command and all that kind of stuff. I've never done this virtually outside of Mega Camp, right? So it's a little bit different experience. I've been to probably 7 or 8 family reunions, but the idea is that there will be like breakdowns and videos of all the new stuff that command's doing with step-by-step, you know, that's available in a week or something. I would spend this time watching the sessions that are probably not, and I know I might have said something differently a few days ago. Like I don't want to sit in a command session right now. Like there's hundreds of videos on how to do neighborhood nurtures and stuff. We don't need to spend valuable family reunion time learning how to do that. Okay, there'll be videos on that later on. The most important thing is let's attend some classes that we don't have constant access to on other platforms. Okay. If anybody is, I'll make some recommendations on classes if you would like for all the breakout sessions. So if anyone is stumped and doesn't know what to go to, send me a little note and I'll give you some advice. Okay. And by the way, if you're in a session and you don't like it so much, then leave and choose a different one, right? And go back and watch that later if you'd like. The workshops are new, Greta. I don't know much about them. I wasn't able to register for anything. Like, look, if I sort by workshop, nothing shows up. So I'm just going to pretend like it's not there.
Okay, but what if you are registered for them, but they don't show up in your agenda, but you have the thing saying you're registered for them?
Oh, that I don't know. Did it give you like a link to follow or instructions on how to log in?
It just gave me a receipt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm coming in today, so like I guess I could probably ask somebody in there.
Yeah, this is the first time we've all experienced this, so we're probably going to be, you know, kind of playing with a little
Learning
bit.
together.
Yeah, did you go to each of the different days and it didn't appear on my agenda?
No,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll try to figure it out.
Question, I looked this morning, I didn't think we could come in unless we had a seat reserved. Is that correct?
I think the way that we're doing it is if you have a seat reserved, you can be in the big room, but I guess nothing would stop you from being in like the room John's in.
Like I'm here. Yep.
Okay, good, thank you.
Or one of those cubbies in the back, or, you know, the big square table outside of the training room, or the little area outside of my door. You know, and certainly if you have an office here, you can come. Okay, what other questions do we have? What other questions do we have? Okay, well, we got another 10 minutes or so. So who has some real estate related, who's struggling? What can we help you with? Anyone want to celebrate anything?
I went binding on, it's a backup offer, but with my buyer that I've been working with forever.
Nice. Is that the one that's going to cause the kick out?
Yes.
Okay, so we wait 3 days to find out or 2 days to find out if there's if you're going to move into primary?
Exactly, 3 days.
Nice. Good job. Good
Thanks.
job. Okay, does everyone understand what we were just saying? We'll take a minute to talk that through. So,
No, if you can explain.
yeah, so there is we haven't really talked about this so much. There is so a buyer and a seller are under contract, okay? There is what's called it's a contingent contract with a kick out, okay? Let's define some of those terms. When you go under contract, normally unless it's stated otherwise, there's no contingencies or other than the normal ones, the due diligence, the financing, and the appraisal contingency. In some situations, there would be a contingency of a sale of another property. So the buyer will be able to buy when their current home sells, and they'll free up whatever money is available or needed to execute the purchase. Okay. So if the property does not sell, then the buyer can leave the contract and say, hey, property didn't sell, and face no penalty. As you can imagine, that's not that appealing to a seller, particularly in this market, right? And that's why we've created systems like, not we've created, but we have access to systems like Knock and others that can, deal with bridge loans and accessing equity before you sell and these kind of things. So somebody who may not be able to afford 2 mortgages at once, there are solutions for you to make this move and switch houses. Okay. There's also something called a contingency with a kick out. What that means is normally the kick out gives you sometimes 2, sometimes 3 days. So what ended up happening is there's a seller and a buyer that are under contract contingency kick out. What that means is that if there is another offer that comes in that is negotiated and then temporarily is in backup position, which is what Ashley and her buyer did, that activates the kick-out time period or kick-out clause, which means the seller will now go to offer number 1, the original offer or the original binding contract, and say, we are in receipt or we are now under contract in backup position with offer B, which is Ashley and her buyer. Then the buyer number 1 has a certain number of hours or days. I think in this situation, it's 48 hours. Most of the time I see it more like 72 hours. And the buyer number 1 can either leave the contract because they need the contingency, or they can release the contingency, meaning I don't know if I can sell my home, but I'm gonna release my desire to have that protection or my need to have that protection. Okay, so what Ashley is doing is she's currently in backup position. In 2 days, we're going to find out, or less than 2 days, we're going to find out whether the buyer number 1 releases that contingency and therefore is moving on to closing, or if they are unwilling to release the contingency and they leave the contract. If they leave the contract, Ashley and her buyer move up into primary position. And that would be a pretty lucrative deal because it's a $1 million plus contract, right?
Yes.
That'd be awesome. Does everyone understand how that works? So buyer and seller under contract, different buyer comes in, negotiates a backup, and that could activate the kickout clause, which makes buyer number 1 decide if they need that clause or not, or the protection. If they do not, then they move forward with the closing, and they've now added on some extra risk, of course. Or they say, hey, I can't take on that extra risk. They leave the contract, no penalty. Ashley and her buyer move into primary position. Make sense? Great job, Ashley.
Thank you.
What
So
else do we, who had a question?
is there a form, like a kick out form, or is it just written as a stip?
So there is a, Pam's here, right? You know the answer to that? There is
Sorry, it's a part of
What
the
is it?
backup offer.
it's a part of the, wait, say that again?
I'm sorry. Are you asking whether about the kick out? It's a part of the contingency. Sorry, my husband came in for a minute.
Yeah, so it's a part of the original offer.
It's a part of the the exhibit where the offer is made with the contingency to sell another home or whatever.
Right, and then it's activated by an offer that includes the backup offer language, right? So Ashley's
Yes.
offer includes the backup offer language, which is an amendment or an exhibit, so to speak.
Exhibit, yeah.
And the
Exhibit, yeah.
original contract, they brought in the contingency. It's just an extra contingency form. Both of those forms are GAR forms.
So they're
And
they're
they're
both
both
individual
exhibits.
forms. They're exhibits?
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Yep. So ideally, you would, for a seller, ideally you would have a buyer with no contingencies. Okay. The worst case scenario is you have a buyer with a for sale contingency with no kick out, because that'll basically take you to the closing table. And at the last second, it could die. And somewhat of the middle ground, if you will, would be a contingency with a kick out that gives the seller the opportunity to continue to market the property and to collect an offer and ultimately negotiate that offer so that that initial buyer can be replaced if there's another offer that comes in that doesn't have that. Make sense? Okay, who else has something to celebrate or has an issue that we can spend a couple minutes with?
I had a listing that I listed for on Tuesday, and it went binding on Friday,
Nice.
and it's
Wait, you
over
listed it on
list price.
Tuesday and it went binding already?
Yep, went binding on Friday.
Love it. And where was that home?
It was in Ackworth,
And
actually
how-
in my neighborhood.
And where did you find that listing?
One of my neighbors, just talking to my neighbors.
All right. Send me that list of, send me the address and I'll send you all the neighbors that live nearby and you can call them and tell them how you sold a home in 2 days.
Awesome, I sure will.
Did you get any other offers?
I did plenty.
How many?
6.
So you got 6 offers total or 6 additional offers?
It was 6 offers besides the one that we had, the one they chose on. Of course, we got one from Open Door. We got one from Main Street, which they were, low. And then we got the 5 that came after that were all over as list price.
Sometimes those main streets and the open doors and all that iBuyer crap is great because it's another offer and you can go back and say, hey, multiple offers, right?
Yep.
So you can, oftentimes they're low, they're not going to be all that competitive, but you can use that to your seller's advantage. Back up. Okay. Yeah, I would call every single one of those neighbors and say, hey, this is Lawanda. You probably saw my sign for sale sign. And I just wanted to let you know, you live in a very, very attractive neighborhood. Not only did we put that home under contract in 2 days, but I'm aware of 6 other buyers or 5 other buyers that want to move into your neighborhood. So let's go to the 3 ask scripts. When was the last time that you or your family thought about moving, right? Do you know anyone else in the area who has considered a move that we could possibly help, right? And these are all what we know from math, right? From statistics, roughly 10 to 12% of people are going to move every year, okay? So 10% of that neighborhood is going to turn over this year.
So I've already called one of the other neighbors and told her, because she had been contemplating put hers on the market. So I already told her, I said, hey, I've already started kind of marketing your property. Yeah.
I might even door knock too.
Okay.
Hey, that's my listing. I got a for sale sign in the car. I got 6 other offers. Here's the first page of each of those offers. They are ready.
Yeah,
Okay.
even better that it's your neighborhood too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I would be milking that like you've never seen somebody milk it.
Okay.
Okay, let's do one more. Who else wants to share something?
I have one.
All right.
So, okay, so I put in an offer and mine wasn't accepted. And I did come in over asking price, but I want to know like the reason why it wasn't accepted. Like, so general rule of thumb, can I ask like, hey, like who came in higher than me? I just want to see what happened.
Well, a couple things here. So number one is they're under no obligation to share that with you, right? Secondly, if they were to share it with you, that would be a pretty good clue they don't know what they're doing, right? Because if that offer were to fall through, let's just say, for example, the contract price was 300,000, okay, and you submitted an offer for 305 and lost, and they said, oh yeah, we went under contract for 306, right? If that home became available again, you may have paid 310 this time. But if you knew it was 306, you wouldn't pay 310, you'd pay 306, right? Because you know what's acceptable. So anytime you want to keep those seller details, the contract details, to yourself. It's none of anyone else's business. That doesn't mean you can't ask, but you have to ask yourself, if I'm working for the seller, am I protecting their interest? If I share what terms they were comfortable with, that's not protecting their interest. Okay, so let's go back to your specific situation. You could ask, if you can get the guy on the phone, say, hey, can you share with me, our offer was, I thought was pretty attractive. Can you share with me what was more attractive, right? And that most likely they'll say, Ebony, come on now, you know better than that. So that's about as good as you're going to get right now. But the fact of the matter is it probably comes down to a couple things: price, financing, and contingencies, right? So go ahead.
It was all cash.
Your offer was?
Yes, no financing contingencies. So that and 5,000 over. So that's why I'm like,
so if you got an
damn,
offer
like,
for 7,000 over, which one would you take?
all right. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
and
take the 7,000.
once it is closed, you can find that information on the FMLS. It'll tell you what they paid and what the closing costs
Oh, yeah,
were.
yeah, of
All that
course.
information is there. So if
Of
you're
course.
still curious in a month or two, you can find out.
Oh, yeah, of course. And you could also say, like, hey, I want to be on your radar. Should something go south, you can give me a call, and you can make that request without having to go through a multiple offer, or not multiple offer, but backup offer process. Say, hey, I want to be on your radar. Should something go south, I'll check in with you every week or so if that's okay. You could call, the morning of closing and say, hey, will you call me once it's closed, and give me the numbers before it even publishes on FMLS if you want. But it is not in their best interest to share that information with you.
Okay.
But I would assume one of three things: either no matter how much you were willing to pay over, it most likely somebody was willing to pay more, or they had tighter contingencies, right? Or they, maybe it came in first. it could be just about anything. I had a situation one time where I can't remember if I ever told you guys the story. This is like a 250,000 something house in Marietta, oh gosh, like maybe 13, 14 years ago. And this home had been on the market for close to a year. That's the kind of market we were in at that time. So I call the guy up, the listing agent up, after my folks see it and they like it. And I say, hey, I'm just getting everything together with the lender. Let me know if anything comes across your desk, right? I wanted a heads up. So the next morning he calls me, he's like, you're not going to believe this, Bill, but we got another offer. So it's been on the market a whole year and all of a sudden they got multiple offers, right? That's what I'm thinking to myself. And I'm wondering if this guy's lying to me. So I said, well, what is it that you guys want, right? What's most important to you? And he says, I think that if you give me the other offers in the low 230s, if you can give me, what was it? It was like 234, 235 or something like that, you should win. So that's what I gave him. And I lost. And I called him up. I said, what happened? You told me if I give him 234, I win. And he says, you know what, Bill? I totally thought that would work. And when I went and presented the offers to my client, she's 94 years old. She's dying of cancer. And she didn't care about the money. The only thing she cared about is she said, who was first? And I was not first, or my buyer was not first, right? And that's why we lost. So they're like, it's a total crapshoot sometimes, right? And
should he have shared that price with you? Like even though it wasn't specific, I don't feel like he should have said that
I don't
either.
think he should have either. That again, that was not in his client's best interest, because I would have, we were prepared to pay like upper 240s for the home. So he lost 15 grand on that. But again, he made a mistake. He made several mistakes. And ultimately the seller, a couple $1,000s didn't matter to her. She didn't care. Right. So it's not always the money. But more often than not, it is related to money or terms. That's why it's so critical to go to the seller and say, hey, what are you guys looking for? You know, what's most important? Once I know what's most important, I can take that back to my client and try to match that and win. So it looks like Pam is putting up some of the numbers. Sale or lease of buyer's property contingency exhibit, that would have been F601. That's what would have been filled out on the initial offer. And then Pam, are you in the system? Are you able to see what number? Oh, there it is. You already did it. 604 is the backup agreement contingency. That's what Ashley included in her buyer's offer. Make sense, everyone?
And just
Okay.
to add, Bill, I do have to just a quick question.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback off of what Ebony had asked. Ebony, I had the listing that went under contract within 3 days. I had a buyer come in after my client had already had kind of, looked at a couple contracts that came in and kind of weeded out the ones they were not going to accept. The last offer that came in was, let me see, it was 310. My property is listed at 295. The reason why they did not, and my clients were looking for not a whole bunch of contingencies, not a whole bunch of stipulations, closing costs, they took all that in consideration, closing date or whatnot. And the one fact, like Bill said, is because the one they chose came in before this other one that was 310. Granted, it would have offered them, given them, a nice cushion, but it came in first.
Yeah.
Got it. Like this listing literally had 0 days on the market, and I've been working with this client for a while.
You
So I just
contact
wanted
that house
her.
for backup?
Go ahead, Ebony. Go ahead.
So this house, it was only on the market for 0 days, and this client is, super picky. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just jump on it. We literally put the offer in that day. I saw it at probably like 10 o'clock that morning. I went over it, previewed it myself, had my clients on, I video chatted them. They liked it, put the offer in. I'm like, okay, I think, I guess my feelings hurt. I'm gonna get over it.
Well,
But it was just like,
what happened is not a testament to how good of a realtor you are. And it's also not a testament to whether the offer was competitive. The fact of the matter is somebody else just won, right? So don't beat yourself up over it. What's going to happen is you now have got one more, experience to talk about and to learn from. Your buyer has got one more piece of evidence that they have to be aggressive and quick. And I believe, and maybe this is just having been in the business for 15, 16 years and having a little bit of a faith, is I believe there's probably a better property, right? Ultimately, you remember that story I just told you? The home that buyer ultimately bought, I would be willing to bet that somewhere in the neighborhood of 25% of my database came from that home. Meaning they lost on that one. The home I ultimately helped them buy, I helped that family rent that home probably 4 or 5 times, ultimately helped them. Oh no, I didn't help them sell it. It went to foreclosure. But I probably have several hundred people in my database that I met from marketing that property. So there's a reason why all this stuff happens. Maybe that's just me, I don't know, but that's my belief, and it allows me to be a little less stressed. So I'm just going to stick with that. Okay, you guys have some fun at Family Reunion today. Do not forget that we are going to have a growth mastermind on Friday from 1 to 2, Friday 1 to 2. And otherwise, all the events will be within the Family Reunion website. Hopefully you guys can come on in and out of the office. We'd love to see you. If you were able to get a slot to hang out in the big room, look forward to seeing you. And if you need any help, any suggestions, I'll make a couple of suggestions on the board for everyone, okay?
And I just want to say too, be patient with them at family reunion this year. They may be having issues with their power supply. My sister lives in the Austin area, and I have other friends there, and like one of them been without power since 1:45 yesterday morning.
Oh yeah. There's like an unseasonable winter storm or something like that in the Midwest and in Texas. There's millions of people without power. So hang in there. Gosh, I can't even, it was in Dallas last year. It would have been a mess. Hang tight. It's all gonna be recorded. It'll all be available, okay? Let's go generate some leads before everything gets started, okay? By the way, you guys are rocking it, okay? You guys have already set or held 47 appointments that you guys have put in there, 27 listings taken. That's really good. I'm real impressed with you guys. So keep up the good work and we'll chat soon.